Yeah, we're back, baby. We're back. Hold that. Episode 3. And it's a new setup for me. Yeah, I'm here with the rhymes, with the bars. And it's Luke, your host, with my co host, Abdallah Abdallah, Liverpool versus Chelsea. That's what happened on Sunday. What a feast it was. Introduce yourself, brother.
Yeah, man, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. As a Chelsea fan, we may not have won on the pitch, but we won off it. And just like to thank your club for giving us a glorious name for our midfield, LFC, Lavia Fernandez Casado. Soon come.
The,
Obviously,
thi-
some
the
bad
thing
news.
is, you could say, yeah, that you won, but you didn't win. You
We
know
won.
you didn't win, fam. You didn't win.
We
You
won off
didn't
the
win.
pitch. It was 3-1. 1-1
Caicedo,
in the game.
Caicedo already agreed in May, so that was a done
Uh,
deal. That was a done deal.
Agendas must
Lavia,
agenda.
you won with the Lavia deal. I'll give you that. But the Caicedo, you didn't win that because you agreed that in May.
Oh, whatever. They both rejected you. So anyway, no,
I'm out here,
you're right. You did the Enzo Casado. You transformed him into Endo. It's a combination thing. No, but no, I'm
It's
I'm
all good.
excited to sort of talk about the football, and then yeah, a bit of news at the end. Obviously, some injuries, some transfers. So we'll talk about that at the end.
Yeah, so obviously, like normally we would like discuss obviously my match or my team, Marju's team, and then we'd have like two, three matches that we would potentially talk about. But obviously Liverpool faced Chelsea, that's already gonna be one match. And then I'm gonna pick one match that I thoroughly enjoyed that I want to talk about. Marju will do the same thing. So obviously, yeah, we'll discuss our game. Our game was literally what expressions would say a pack of polos, nothing in the middle. And that's basically what was going on. It was evident that if either team had a CDM, they would have walked away the winner. It was evident. It was you attack, we attack, you attack. Like, and I feel like in the first half, we had our chances, and then the second half, you had your chances. And I just think for me, um, Klopp made the wrong decision in putting Cody Gakpo in midfield. It didn't make sense to me. I don't care the fact that he's saying that he's got the technical ability and the IQ to run the midfield. He really doesn't. He's best playing as a false nine, where he's able to link the attack, has his back towards goal, he's able to hold up play, power through midfield, power through into the final third, lay off teammates, or go for goal. We didn't really see that in his game because he was in CM. Your guys was running off him a bit too easy. Like, no disrespect to Conor Gallagher and the other brother that you had in midfield, but there's no way that man should be running off our guys like that. Um, so for me, Klopp made the wrong decision, and I know he did that just to put Diego Jota up front. For me, I feel like Diego Jota is an impact player. He's someone that you bring off the bench to try and make a difference. He's not someone that you start. And I feel like Darwin Nunes, Cody Gakpo had a great preseason. I don't get why you didn't play them, either one of them to begin with. I think it's just decision makings like that. Um, Obviously could have turned a draw into an actual 3 points for Liverpool. Um, all in all, I thought it was a good game. Um, it was very chaotic, but at the same time, it was a game for me whereby it showcased what big matches are supposed to be like. We see it all the time, whereas Liverpool gets Man City. Tactics go out the window, and it's about let's go at each other, let's attack, let's play football. And that's what that game was about. So I'm happy to say that that was a fantastic game of football. Um, the one thing that I do want to say though, before I bring Margie Bin on his thoughts on his team, is that Robertson, big man thing, he needs to stop playing. He does. He's a liability, whether it's at left back, whether it's at left centre back. He's a liability.
Wow.
He is. He doesn't have the athleticism. Robertson's the type of player that relies on athleticism to get up and down the pitch. you could clearly see that his legs is gone. He spent 5, 6 years doing that up and down with no competition, no rest. But you could clearly see that it's catching up to him. He doesn't have the IQ to defend anymore or track his runner at left centre back. And he doesn't have the legs to play left back and run up and down. So I feel like we always used to say if you target that right back spot at Trent, he's susceptible to making a mistake. I feel like you can't really say that anymore. I feel like for me, it's that left side. If any team target that left side, it's long. It is long for us. So I feel like Liverpool, after signing Endo, I will give my thoughts about that signing after when we finish talk about the matches. But I feel like after the Endo signing, we need to sign a left-sided centre back. We do. If we're going to play that 3 at the back, we have to do it. Otherwise, it's long for us the whole season. Doesn't even matter if we sign a CPM. But Margie, I want to get your thoughts because obviously, as we joke about, we run backs all the time, but we always say the same thing. Our team is very similar. So, like, what was your thoughts on the game?
To be honest, it's very similar in the sense of both teams needed a DM. Like we had Conor Gallagher playing our defensive mid kind of role, and it showed in the first 30 minutes where you took over the game that it wasn't prepared for that kind of role, and we had to change our formation just so because we didn't have a defensive midfielder, we had to go to 3 at the back because we knew the attacking talent that you had on the pitch, and you saw it in the first like 20-30 minutes. You got the goal, you got the second one, which was disallowed, which I mean could have gone either way, and you controlled like the first bit of the first half. I feel like that part of the field we were very kind of complacent in terms of we were very tentative. It was a lot of new things being put together. I think our team's going to grow over time, and I think adding the pieces that we've signed in terms of Lavia Casado is going to improve that. But for that one game, it just felt like both teams were doing the same thing, just allowing the play to go through them. And then I think as soon as we scored the goal to equalize, it was all us through the last part of the first half and the second half because it was too easy to get through you. Even when the second goal that Chilwell scored, which was disallowed, 1, 2, 3 passes and we were through you like butter. It was like neither team had any defensive solidity in that midfield, and it was so easy to get through that from one moment you could be creating a chance to the next moment you could be conceding one. And sure, that's entertaining, but for teams like us, we need that solidity because week in, week out, we're not going to come up against teams that are going to be as wide open as we are. We're going to come up against teams that are going to be defensive blocks, that are going to only allow us one opportunity. And the thing is, we can't allow teams to get opportunities against us that easily. So for me, it just showed that both teams needed DMs. It showed both teams weren't prepared for the season, in a sense. And by taking so long to do the Lavia Casado deals, even though that weekend was fun, the back and forth, that transfer saga, and my team ended up on top. But in the first game, if we had one of them beforehand, we would have won that game, as you said before. And that's the thing. Those 2 points could be the difference between third and second and first. It could be the difference between getting into Europe. And this year, it's more places, but it's more competition. There's about 8, 9 teams that can get top 5, in my opinion. You got your traditional Man City, Arsenal. Then you got the Man U who have had 3 seasons with Ten Hag. Then you have Tottenham under a new manager who look good. Then you have us, Liverpool, and then you have the teams that the outliers. Your Newcastle, they look good. Aston Villa, even though they had a bad game, we'll talk about that. They can surprise a few, and then you got Brighton and stuff like that. So there are 8, 9 teams that can get those 5 spots very comfortably because they have quality players, quality managers, and this league is the toughest league in the world right now. And you can see it. All the best young stars want to come to this league. French league, the league coming here by droves, Spanish, German, whatever league they're from, they want to come to England. They know this is the best league to be in. And you can see it by the level of talent that each of these teams are seducing to come to the league. Aston Villa are buying the likes of Pau Torres and stuff like that. Like you wouldn't have seen that 10, 15 years ago when other leagues were just as strong. So our league has become the Super League, and you need your mid. And the one thing you need is a solid midfielder. Without that DM, both clubs are not going to succeed this season. Luckily, we've got ours. I mean, you got yours as well, but I don't know what to say about him. I don't know much about him. We've seen what Casado and Lavia can do, but we don't know about Endo. So we'll see what else you do. You're looking like other options, but yeah, it was a very fun game. I would say this: I enjoyed the patterns of play that we played. It's some of the best football I've seen from my team in years actually. And I think under Pochettino, a lot of people are gonna be surprised of how we play. It's the highest percent of possession against a Klopp team in his history since he's came to the Premier League. So for us to dominate Liverpool like that in terms of possession is unheard of. We're normally the ones just sitting back, letting them attack onto us. So for us to keep the ball, retain it, being able to bop it through the park, patterns of play, players that can keep the ball, retain the ball, do certain things, and we're adding on to that with Casado and Lavia. I think the future for Chelsea is bright, and obviously there's other things that have happened since then, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, overall great game. And I just think both teams just cancelled each other out in the end, and a draw was probably the right result. I would say it was 60-40 towards Chelsea in terms of overall, but it's one of those ones where if you don't take your chances, you don't deserve to win. And Jackson had a couple chances that he should have scored, and Liverpool had a couple chances that they could have finished. They could have finished the game off with the first 30 minutes if the offside rule and certain things went their way. So, I'm
Yeah,
just happy to get
penalty.
past that. Yeah, yeah. It wasn't a penalty in my opinion. I'm
It
gonna
was a
say
pen, man. It
his
was
hands
a
were
pen.
like this. It was gonna hit his chest
It was a
anyway.
pen, fam.
Whatever.
It was a pen.
Nah, it
Don't try
wasn't.
it, fam. You're
It
being
wasn't.
biased.
Well, his hands was like this. It was
His
gonna hit
hands
his
wasn't
chest
there,
anyway.
fam. No, fam.
Whatever.
That's a
Whatever.
penalty.
Whatever. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. But anyway, we ain't gonna go back and forth on that. We can agree to disagree on that point. But yeah, overall great game. And yeah,
Yeah,
no, it showed what we need, what both teams needed. We need DMs and we need our attacks to be more clinical, and that's it. And another point, with Salah coming off frustrated. I know a lot of Liverpool fans might look at that and see, oh, that might be a bad thing, but I think it's good. I think a player of that quality wants to play 90 minutes, and I feel like he's also frustrated by the lack of transfers from the team. So I think he needs to use his voice as a leader to talk to the big bosses to get people to come in. Because if you're the star player, sometimes you have that clout to say, okay, if this or this or this doesn't happen, I'm gone. You see it with Mbappe at PSG. You see it with the likes of Ronaldo and Messi. Salah needs to know his role in the team, not just on the pitch, but off it as well. He can influence the type of players that come into the club as well, and he needs to show that if the big bosses, that if they're not showing him a level of respect and bringing the players that he needs to win trophies this season, that he's more than willing to move on, go to Saudi and make his money, because they're offering big bags over there, and he's Muslim, he knows Arabic. Fam, one calling Salah Habibi, and he's already on his way. So they got to respect him as well.
it's true. It's true. So yes, but moving on. Obviously, there's one match that I want to talk about on my side, which I thought was a fantastic game, and that was Newcastle versus Aston Villa. That was an amazing game. It's unfortunate for Tyrone Mings. I hope his injury isn't very serious, but the way how his patella just moved like that, dislocated or whatever, or torn, or it was mad, man. It might be a long injury. Could be up to like 7-9 months, but hopefully he's not out for too long. But you definitely noticed a difference when he came off the pitch. When he was on the pitch, they were still in it. It was 2-1, but they were still in the game. There was chances across the pitch. The minute he got subbed due to that injury, it was game over. It was curtains. I think I felt sorry for poor Torres because it was his debut. He wasn't fresh in a sense of he was able to warm up and get into the game. He just got thrusted straight in. I think the tactic that Unai Emery was trying to employ in terms of the high line, I think with Tyrone Mings there, it was working. But I think the fact that he left, there was no one leading the back line. There was no one yelling. There was no one organizing. The right back was all the way up. Paul Torres was too aggressive to push forward. Then it left two people, as in the other centre back and the left back. There was no defensive stability within the ranks. And, any attack Newcastle had, they were through straight away. Any ball that Tonali or had, and he was able to see the vision and pop the ball about, it was curtains. It was game over. They were through, So I think they will still be there or thereabouts. I think it's just one of those shell shocking performances where your captain's gone. I don't know if he's still captain, but originally he was. But I feel like having someone like him gone, who is their leader at the back, I think it just sort of it shell shocks a person. And if anything, Paul Torres, welcome to the Premier League, because that's what it's like. It's unforgiving. Um, but I feel like Newcastle played very well. I think they played a fantastic game. I think Tonali was a world beater in that midfield. Anything that he touched turned to gold. His vision was immaculate. Every time when he had the ball, he looked up, he already found an individual straight away. That's the type of player that, for me, when I used to watch Tonali a couple years ago, I always used to say he's the heir to Pirlo. Whether it be at AC or whether it be at Juventus. Obviously, it never materialized because AC needed the money. But I feel like Newcastle's got the gem. They've got someone that can control the midfield like Bruno Guimaraes. They got someone that could ping a pass left, right, and centre. Sometimes you need that ball carrier in midfield that could do a long pass. Every team had it. De Bruyne had it. Gerrard, Alonso, Lampard, you name it. All teams had it. And I feel like Newcastle has made smart business. They still haven't gone out to buy like the world beaters. They haven't done that yet. They're still going out and signing just gems, talented guys that's gonna fine tune the position. And I feel like this signing here is probably going to be the difference between, them not being in the top 4 or top 5 or remaining in the top 5 again. So yeah, it was a quality game. This ain't gonna happen all the time to Aston Villa. I think for them it's a case of dust yourself down, go back to the training field, fine tune the high line tactic, and then go again in the next game. It doesn't come easy because I believe they got a hard game in the next game. So they got to go again, and Newcastle could just use this momentum to try push on. It's going to be very difficult though when the Champions League draw starts to kick in and the games come thick and fast. Are they still going to be that same type of team? Time will tell. But for now, for me, it was a quality game of football that I saw. Great attacking play. They were distinctive. They were instinctive, I should say, when it came to being a killer in the final third. And yeah, it was a fantastic game. What was your thoughts on the game, Marjube, and what was your thoughts on their star man, their man of the match, Tonali?
Overall, I think just when it comes to Newcastle, the business they've made has been shrewd. In terms of Tonali, I just think he's a quality midfielder. I think it's what they need. They have 3 guys in there that are just workhorses. They got Bruno Guimaraes, Joelinton, Tonali. I think if you put that up against any midfield in the country, they're giving them a game. And I feel like that the high line wasn't the right idea to do against Newcastle. I think high lines work against teams that are defensive in terms of like against the weaker teams. Aston Villa can put up the high line, but when you're coming up against some of the better teams in this country, it's never a good idea to put up a high line, especially with Newcastle, where they have the likes of Gordon and even later down the line Barnes that can just run past that high line and cause you problems. And if you have players of the quality of Gomeres and Tonali that can see an eye for a pass, it's curtains really, and that's what happened to Aston Villa in that game. They were dissected by the better team, and it's interesting to see what Newcastle have done. Um, I'm gonna say this for me. What I was impressed by in that game was some of the wingers. On Aston Villa's side, Diaby, I think he looks like a quality signing. I think he's going to be someone that's very special for Aston Villa. And then on the other side, I think a lot of people looked at Anthony Gordon as a bad signing, but seeing him over preseason and seeing him now in the game, I think he's gonna continue to increase and become a better player. And I think you're gonna see why teams like Chelsea wanted him over time. And then Harvey Barnes as a little cameo, just showed what he's capable of, and a player that I believe that any club in the top six should have gone for at such a cheap price. And yeah, I really enjoyed the game. I think Aston Villa will be okay, but they can't afford to do that high line against bigger teams, as I said. And Newcastle were just the better team on the day. That just happens. Sometimes it's better to get humbled at the start of the season than later down the line, because at least then you know, okay, I can't do this. I can adjust my team. I know what my weaknesses are. I know what my strengths are. There's a couple more weeks in the window, so I can bring in a couple players. You've lost Mings. Maybe you need to bring in another centre back that can be that leadership role. Because I think Pau Torres and Konza aren't leaders. So you need to replace that leadership style in the centre back position. If I'm Aston Villa, I'm going for a Mark Guehi from Crystal Palace. I think him for 40, 50 mil adds that leader, adds that kind of person that's going to shout and marshal the defense. So there's opportunities in the market to replace him. Hopefully, he's not gone for a long time. But yeah, overall, I think it was two powerhouses, and Newcastle just came up trumps. And I think Newcastle are going to be a dangerous team this season. Um, I'd had them outside of top four, but I don't know if as the games go on and if they continue this trajectory, maybe I might be wrong in assessing. But it'll be interesting to see the teams they kind of put out in the Champions League group stage when they're doing the Wednesday to Sundays, and how they navigate through that. So a great start for them, and yeah, nothing more to say than that, really.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. What was your highlight of the weekend? You know, what was your favorite match that you watched?
Um, there was a couple of games that I looked at that were really good gems. I just want to have just two quick notes on two games that I think were really good. Brighton versus Luton. Brighton still look good. They still like a team, even with the losses of Casado and McAllister. They look good. The Brentford Tottenham game was really interesting in the first half. That was a fun game. But for me, for the wrong reasons, I would say the Man United Wolves game is what I want to talk about. And for me, to have such a bad refereeing decision such early on, last minutes, keeper comes out, takes out the player, and you don't give a penalty. It just shows how much of a joke VAR and the refereeing is. And also, that game Wolves dominated. Man United, that midfield of Man United of Bruno Fernandes, Mount, and Casemiro doesn't work. Them Bruno and Mount were leaving Casemiro cold the whole game. It was like he was one man midfield. He can't play, he can't do the defensive abilities for three man. That midfield for me doesn't work. I think they need someone that's a bit of a 50-50 guy that can do the defensive side of the game and also attack. And I feel like to get dominated by Wolves, who a team that I believe is going to get relegated this season like that, shows very worrying signs for Man United this season and might even make changes to how I feel about Man United. I know it's one game, it's very reactionary, but that game showed that they do need to bring in a Amrabat or a player of that ilk just to shore up the defensive lines, because they need two DMs. For me, Casemiro just doesn't have the ability to do it all on his own at the moment, and I feel like Mount and Bruno are two similar players. They go into the same spaces. If it's like they cancel each other out in some aspects. And for me, the wingers weren't good enough. The attacking play was not there. Um, it's a shame that Højlund or what his name is injured. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like Man United have made a lot of mistakes in some of the transfers they've had in the last two summers. In terms of Anthony didn't really look good. Rashford was hit or miss up front, and for me, Wolves actually look a lot better than I thought they would be. And under Gary O'Neill, they might be an interesting team because they do have some quality players still, even though they lost Ruben Neves. But yeah, that last minute decision, I mean, I don't know how you possibly see that and think that's not a foul. And I understand keepers get away with a lot, but come on, man. We need to improve VAR. We need referees to be able to look at the screen and look at an opportunity again, because that's a last minute decision that could have got Wolves a point, and that point could be the difference between them getting relegated and them staying in the division. And every point in this league matters. So for me, for the wrong reasons, I think that game was why I found interesting, just because of the way United played, which I felt was very bad, and because of that last minute decision. Were you able to check out the game yourself?
I didn't know. So when the game was happening, I was actually at work, so I actually didn't watch the game. And like obviously days go by, and I literally didn't check out the highlights. But the one thing that I did watch though was the actual challenge from Onana, and I was wow, I was shocked. You know, the the funny thing is, throughout the whole first week of the game, Saturday through to Monday, there were dubious decisions. Dubious decisions. And I think that one there is probably by far the worst. It's clear as day. And I understand sometimes, you know, you got to protect the goalkeeper. I get that. But he clattered, man. Absolutely clattered, man. And the fact that the referee didn't give anything, number one, it keeps up the general consensus that United have the refs in their back pocket. Yeah. And then number two, again, in terms of the referees and VARs, they haven't learned from last season. Last season, they said that they're going to sit down and they're going to review everything. This is what they said. They've now gone into game one, and still the same decision makings is still happening again. And it doesn't even matter that they've told the guy that made the bad refereeing decision, it doesn't even matter that he got dropped, because what happens to Wolves? Like for me, I personally feel like if a referee's made a bad decision and the Premier League officials or the PLG or MOL or however you pronounce the acronym, if they've come out and said, you know what, we were wrong, hands up, we were wrong for making that decision, I apologize. I personally think that the 3 points should be given to that team that got screwed. I genuinely believe that. I feel like they should overhaul the draw or the loss and manually give that team that they did wrong 3 points. They need to do it, because for me, there was too many times last season that a referee or VAR was a stupid decision, and it was 3 points loss to a team that could have been challenging for a top four, challenging for the Europa League, challenging to stay in the Premier League to avoid relegation. How many times did we see Southampton especially get screwed over last season with decision makings? A hell of a lot. A hell of a lot. 3 points, especially when you're battling for relegation, is vital. It's important. It changes the course of the game and the season, because when the full 38 games are played, you're going to look back and think, where was the points dropped, won or lost? And you're always going to look back at that one particular match that a referee screwed you, and that could have been the difference between you staying in the Prem. So I personally feel like if a referee messes up, none of this I'm sorry malarkey. Give that team the 3 points. That's what I think you need to start doing, just to teach these referees a lesson. But is that going to happen? No, because the FA is full of shit and they're all corrupt. They're all corrupt. They pick and choose who they're going to give the decisions to. They pick and choose who's going to win the game. They do. I don't want anybody telling me different. Last season proved it with the stupid decisions. How many times did we see Man City handle the ball, but nothing was happened? And that was 3 points given to them to win the league. Same thing happened 2 years ago when Liverpool was meant to win the league, and Rodri handled the ball at the Everton game, and it got given. It didn't get given, and that was the match where Everton needed the 3 points that game, because they were dominating Man City. And if Everton had got those 3 points, Liverpool would have won the league. Again, the fate is in the referee's hands to make the right decision, but they're not doing it. Why? Because I personally believe that it's like they're having a bet to see who's who. All right, cool. Who's in the title race? Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City. Okay, cool. Who's far ahead? Man City's far ahead. They probably got 3 points. Okay, cool. Who's the next team? Arsenal. Who's the next team after that? 5 points behind them is Liverpool. Okay, Liverpool decision. Okay, there's a handball decision in Liverpool's game. You know what? Let's not give it, because if they win this game, they'll be within 2 points behind Man City. That will the title race will heat up then. I guarantee that's the discussions that they're having. I guarantee it. Because I don't get how a referee can see a clear as day foul, and then they go to VAR and they still see it, but yet they're like, no, it's not a foul. How? Because you don't want Man United to lose. You don't want to send the goalkeeper off because you don't want them to lose, because it's 3 minutes into the game and you feel like 3 minutes into the game isn't long enough to make that decision. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. And this is why, and I close, this is why English refs aren't used in major tournaments. In the Champions League finals, in the World Cups, in the Euros. This is why the English refs do not get picked, because they don't make the right decisions. The European refs do. And I digress on that. That's my point. But
yeah, 100%. I gotta add a couple things. I feel like 2 things need to happen for referees from now on. One, I think they need to be mic'd up, and we need to hear the conversations that they have with VAR, because I think that would, at least the people watching the game can actually understand what the decisions are being made, just like in rugby and cricket, or even just so that the stands can hear, we're just checking VAR, and then actually hearing what they have to say about the decision, what the VAR people are telling them. So at least we know what came into the thinking of that decision making. And second thing, if a bad decision is made, I need referee interviews, fam. I need them to be interviewed about why they made a mistake. I need them to come on a press conference and say, I apologize, and apologize to the people of why they made the mistake and what was their thinking behind it. Because the fact is, they just get away with these things. And sure, you can take them off the next week, but then they're going to be back on the week after making the same mistakes. It just swings and roundabouts in that case anyway, and I just wanted to add that to that conversation anyway.
It's true, but whether that's gonna happen, that's not gonna happen at all, and it's a shame. And that's why, like, the conversations are always going about saying, like, the game is dying, because first of all, the Champions League has been reformulated into a Super League, because when you think about it, it is a Super League. It's a league whereby you're only playing against 8 teams and you're only playing them once, and that's it. It is technically a Super League. And then on top of that, the refereeing decisions isn't getting any better. VAR was supposed to be a stopgap to try and prevent or help referees who didn't see things quick enough. And it just feels like both are getting worse and progressively worse, to the point where at this rate, you're just thinking, you know what, scrap VAR and let's just deal with the refs. And if they fuck up, they fuck up. So, like, yeah, man, it's just not, it's not going to change, bro. It's not going to change. And that's just the sad reality. But yeah, man, let's move on. Let's finish on these transfer rumors. So obviously you guys secured the bag. You guys secured, LFC. And it's funny because, as I said in the beginning of the show, Caicedo was already agreed in May. Caicedo's a Chelsea fan. We all know this. He already agreed personal terms with Chelsea. And I just feel like Liverpool were used by Caicedo's representatives to be like bid for him, just so that it got to the point where the price tag was attainable for Chelsea to be like, okay, 80 mil, okay, Brighton's not willing to accept that. Okay, if Liverpool bid 110, then we will know whether or not if they'll accept that. And then if they do bid 110, okay, cool, that means that we have to bid 150. So that means they have no choice but to accept it. And I think Chelsea were playing tactical chess in that department and they got their man. I feel like Caicedo is a shrewd business, a smart decision for either team. Either team will benefit from him. The fact that he's gone to Chelsea will benefit from him. You know, Kai has gone, or Kante is gone, I should say. You know, he's the ideal replacement for Kante. He's got more legs, he's younger, he's fresh, and I feel like he's going to benefit you guys a lot. I think where Liverpool fucked up, though, is Liverpool should have secured the bag with Lavia first before even trying to throw in a bid at Caicedo. And I just feel like Liverpool dangled the opportunity at Lavia. Lavia was eager. He wanted to come to Liverpool. He vocalized it. And I just feel like Liverpool thought that they could have their cake and eat it. They thought, oh, let's go in, swing in for Caicedo, wrap Caicedo up, and then go in for Lavia. But it failed at Caicedo, and Lavia just thought that he was second best and thought, you know what, I'll just go to Chelsea. Funny thing is, Lavia is still going to be second best there because Caicedo is going to be starting majority of the games and Lavia is going to be on the bench anyway. So for me, I just feel like Lavia screwed himself because he would have been a starting prospect at Liverpool. He knew that we needed a CDM and his development would have been nice because he would have started. I think the fact that Caicedo is going to be ahead of him, I feel like his development's not going to be where it should be. Not to say that he's not going to get utilised because he will, but I just don't see Chelsea doing a double pivot with Caicedo and Lavia. You're not going to play two of the same guys together in midfield. It just doesn't work like that. So I think for me, it's a no-brainer for you to put Caicedo or start Caicedo, especially when you're spending 115 M's on a player. Like he has to start. And then Enzo Fernandez again, you're spending 105 M's on a player. He has to start. Two different types of players. So again, Lavia is going to be on the bench. So I think for me, both parties messed up, but at the end of the day, we move. I want to get your thoughts on the two signings that you've made. And lastly, I also want to find out now that you've got your CDM secured, where is the next position that you would like to invest?
Yeah, in terms of the two CDMs, I think it's perfect. I think you have Lavia, who's 19, has potential to grow in his position, is going to be learning around some of the other talented young midfielders. I think it gives us flexibility in a sense that because Nkunku got injured, we don't really have tens, so we have the possibility to play a three-man midfield of Lavia, Casado, Enzo. Enzo being the attacking player because he has the ability to break lines with his passes. He has the ability to be that guy that adds that creativity in the third field, and you've seen it in against Liverpool. Some of his passing led to chances and stuff like that. So I feel like all three of them, man, can play in the midfield together. Also, if we need to, we can do the double pivot thing, and Lavia off the bench is perfect, really, because I think that at that age, it's not good to play too many matches. I think it's about just being a rotation piece at that age. I think you see a lot of youngsters nowadays playing too much and then sustaining injuries over time. A player of that example is Reece James. He's got injured again. So because he's played so much in his young career, you're getting more and more injuries from these players. So I think for these under 20, under 21 players who haven't fully grown into their body, I don't think they need to be starting. I just think they need to be rotation pieces that have the opportunity and understanding that they will get a chance once they're ready. And I think we've perfectly done well in terms of our midfield, and our defense is pretty much sorted for the next 5 to 10 years in that sense. We have a bunch of guys on loan. The bench options are plentiful. I think the only place that we pretty much need to secure is the attacking positions, in my opinion, and the goalkeeper. We need a backup goalkeeper to Sanchez. Um, I've heard rumors of Kasper Schmeichel and someone of that ilk. We're looking to find someone cheap, so he'd be perfect. He's got Premier League experience. He's a quality keeper. I'd think I'd bring someone like that in. We don't need to bring in a ready-made guy, a guy that's going to be a number one. We just need a backup goalie. And obviously, unfortunately, Elise signed a new contract with Crystal Palace. Obviously, we tried to do the under the table thing and sign his release
With that.
clause, but then Crystal Palace's owners decided to become snitches and say we're gonna do this and that and report you, and you know,
Yeah, hold that.
and this is the second set of owners that came to report us, because I want to talk about the Lavia Fernandez situation. Because for me, the worst thing about the Lavia Casado situation is your owner came to the game with his missus, came to Big Boy London, yeah, and instead of slapping 120, 125 million on the table to get Casado, what did he do? He went to the Premier League and FA, ooh, Chelsea, FFP, ooh, like a little bitch, yeah. He went from John W. Henry, man. He's a John L. Pussyo. That's what he is, fam. That's what your owner is, man. He's soft. No wonder he didn't get both of them. When it came,
Yeah, you got rejected by Orelisi, fam. Hold that, fam. Yeah, that's right.
soft.
Yeah. Now you're going after some unknown guy called Brandon. Brandon who? Brandon who?
No, actually, the rumors is we're gonna go for Barcola off Leon. For me, I think we need a right Barcola off Leon. For me, we just need a. you, you don't even know who he is. I don't even know who he is. But PSG were interested in him, so if PSG are interested in him, then I think he's a quality player.
They're interested in everyone, fam. What are you on about, fam?
Nah, young French talent. We're interested in all young French talents right now. About now, fam. We're moving like French under 21s right now, so I'll take him. But no, we need a backup goalie. We need a winger and a cam. I don't think we need a striker just yet. I think we're better off waiting till January where Ivan Toney is available, or waiting till next summer when there's a better transfer market for strikers. I think right now the strikers you're getting, I mean, look at Man United, 78 million on Højlund, a youngster who played 7 games or whatnot, 7 goals or something like that. So the striker market is not there. I think we have 2 young strikers in Jackson and Broha that we can, at least for the first 6 months, cope with. And for me, yeah, just a winger and a cam and a backup goalie, and I think our transfer window will be complete. Our midfield and defense is pretty much sorted. Just so there's not really much extra we can do. I think this has been the perfect window, pretty much. We've got rid of all the bums. Thank you, Man United and Arsenal, for signing Havertz and Mount. Appreciate you. Thank you, Man City, for taking Kovacic off our back. And to be honest, because of FFP and amortization, we've made a profit in terms of the players we sold compared to the players we bought in. And even on net spend, we're up on net spend as well. So the reality is that we've done great business. It's unfortunate that Lewis Hall is going to go to Newcastle on a permanent fee, but it's needs must. In terms of midfield options, he's not getting in our midfield. And in left back options, we have Chilwell, Cucurella, and even Ian Matson, who is another 18, 19-year-old who has a lot of prospects as well. So Lewis Hall will be quality for Newcastle, but we had to let him go. And it's pure profit. So we're becoming the club that we used to be, selling academy prospects for big money, bringing in the best talents in the world, and also adding on top some of the best talents in the world just to implement into the squad. And I think we have the team from now and in January to get in the goalkeeper and to get in a quality striker in January. We could go big for the likes of Osimhen and stuff like that in January and do the 8-year thing, or even go for an Ivan Toney if we need that. But I think give Jackson a chance, let him see how he does for the first half of the season. And yeah, man, I'm just excited. I think the team against Liverpool played some of the best football, and we had 6, 7 new men in that squad. They played better football than we did all of last season, and that last season team worked together for 3-4 years. So it shows the amount of change we've made and how far we've come in terms of the quality of football, in terms of how I believe that our players are going to do well. And on the other hand, there's a couple bad news pieces for Chelsea. Reece James injured again. Chalobah got injured, so it might not be possible to sell him this summer because he's out for a month. So it's going to be 50-50 whether he goes or not at this point. But we'll see what happens. I think there are teams that Chalobah want to sign Chalobah, so I think he's going to go. I think there's a 50-50% chance that Conor Gallagher goes as well, because even though he played well in the second half, he isn't of the level of a Lavia or of Casado. So I don't think he has the possibility to get into our team in the future. And I feel we're being very ruthless in the players we've let go. willing to let guys go for free if necessary. Ziyech is finally leaving. Lukaku's been told to go. Aubameyang's gone. All these deadwood players are gone, and by the end of the summer, we would have got rid of all of them. I think that's what we wanted. We wanted to get rid of players, and the squad right now is looking really good, really healthy. And if we can get Poch the 25 players he needs, the sky's the limit for our season. I think top four minimum. Get a couple cups as well. Go for both League Cup, FA Cup. We got to go for it all. So I think this season's going to be great for us if we continue the way we are in the transfer window. But how do you feel about the business we've done? And also, how do you feel about your team in terms of obviously the mistakes they made with Lavia and Casado and this Endo brother?
Yeah, so yeah, I agree. You guys have attacked the market well. I still feel like FFP need to look at you guys though. You man are moving a bit mad within the 3 years, coming up to 1 billion spend. But you know, FFP don't exist, clearly. But yeah, you guys have obviously, you know, you've gone out, you've done your thing. I think the biggest thing that you guys needed to do was let go of the dead weight, as you rightfully said. You know, and although people could look at your squad and be like, where's the experience? Why did you get rid of the experienced guys? I'll be honest, the guys that you had on your books were probably liabilities. They were the temperament weren't great. You know, they were hostile. They were bringing a bad vibe to your camp. And I feel like now that you got rid of the likes of Aubameyang on high wages, Ziyech, that wasn't good enough. You know, the Skies Kante, who bless him, you know, I can't say a bad word about the guy, but at the same time, you guys needed to get rid of him. You know, he was injury prone. And I just feel like the fact that you've managed to do that all in one window, sometimes it takes a team 2-3 windows to shift their players, Man United. So yeah, so you know, the fact here that you guys was able to do that in one window, you know, thank you to those guys, thank you to the Saudi clubs as well.
Yeah,
That's
thank you,
come in.
Saudi.
You know, them and they have come in here and bought your guys. You know, now you're able to now bring in a team where you can create a team cohesion and where you can go out and, you know, Pochettino can stamp his mark and his authority on this team. This team is now his identity now. So I feel like you guys are going to do very well this season. As I said, I picked you, man, to make top four anyway. I know you said you don't know, but Chelsea was in my top four list anyway, and I still stand by that, to be honest. I was a firm believer in Poch. As I said, it was either Poch or Zidane for me. And obviously you guys have gone Poch, so you know it's going to be good. He works well with young talents as he is already, and that is your squad. So, you know, the type of football that he tries to promote is obviously a possession-based style, but also high energy and aggressive style. Again, you guys have got aggressive midfielders. Fernandez is aggressive, Caicedo's aggressive, Lavia is aggressive, and I feel you guys have got the P and the pace and the guys that you've got up front, and you've got the experience leader in Thiago Silva as well as the young cheese around him. So I feel like, yeah, you guys have got a good core, a good foundation. It's now time for you, man, to kick on now and actually try to win something this season, which is a possibility. I think in regards to my team, yes, we did sign Endo. He's a player that I do not know anything about. He's a guy that spent majority of his career in Japan, and he's been at Stuttgart for 4 years. Most of his career at Stuttgart has been in Division 2. So, you know, there's not really much to say about this guy. I haven't watched him, but I've seen highlights. And the highlights, to be fair, has been quality. He is a utility player, so I feel like he's going to fulfill that James Milner role, that Hendo role that Hendo said he didn't want to do. And I feel like you're a fool, but I feel like like he's good. Like I've seen what he can do. You know, he's aggressive, he passes well, he's got a shot on him. He's experienced as well. He's a captain of his nation. He's a captain of his club. And I feel like Liverpool are bringing in leaders, which is what we need. But with that being said, the guy's 30 years old. He played in a division in the Bundesliga, no disrespect, but the Bundesliga is full of technical ability. It's not full of P&P. If those that don't know what P&P is, it's called pace and power. And I feel like the Premier League is always a rude awakening for guys who come from abroad and they come in and they're like, wow, I didn't know it was that intense. I didn't know it was that hard. And I feel like for a guy who's spent majority of his career in Japan and in Germany, will he be able to adapt well in our league? Takumi Minamino didn't adapt well with our league. And I feel like, is he going to be the same? I saw a stat say that whenever Klopp's had a Japanese player in his team, they end up winning the league. Sometimes I see stuff like this and I'm thinking, are you man smoking butch? Like these stupid stats, like where are you getting this from? There was one stat, remember that stat that was going around saying, oh, if you have a Croatian in your team, you're bound to win the Champions League.
Yeah.
Like what? Like, where do you get that from? Like, Barcelona didn't have a Croat in their team, and they still won it. Neither did Man United, and they still won it. Neither did Liverpool, and we still won it. Like, it's like what? Where are they getting these stats from? So, like, for me, I'm gonna judge the guy based off of his performances. I'm not gonna judge him now. Like sometimes the most unknown player could be the best player. Like look at Brighton as an example. Unknown players they scouted and look at them now. They're selling them for over 100 M's. So like for me, like he could be a Don Dada in our team in that midfield. You just never know. But what I want personally though is I don't want this Endo signing to be our only signing. I want him to be an experienced player, but at the same time, I want us to go out and sign the real deal because you've proven that you've got the P's. I've said it every single podcast that we've had over the years. I've said Liverpool owners are not broke. They've got the P's. The fact that you're willing to spend 110 M's on Caicedo means that you've got the P's. And the whole world knows now that you do have the P's. You're just being stingy, trying to negotiate. So for me, I want that Endo guy, yes, to be the stopgap in terms of short term, in terms of being a utility player. But I want us to go all out for that Decore at Crystal Palace. Go out and splash that P's. He is a bedroom bullers. He was on that pitch and he's dominant. He's dominant. He's got the skill set. He's got the tools to dominate and run the show in midfield. So for me, I feel like we need to splash the end to go get him. And last but not least, we need to go get a centre back. Van Dijk is not going to be there forever, and he's clearly shown that he's on the downward trajectory. He is. He's on the decline, just like Kevin De Bruyne. So for me, I feel like we need to get that left-sided centre back in, even if that guy's there just to learn or he's there to be a rotational piece, to be a squad player. But at least we got someone there, so that means we're able to phase Van Dijk out slowly and bring this guy in. I don't know what's going to happen from now until the transfer window. We've got 2 weeks left, and I'm hoping Liverpool do spend the P's because, as I said, we've got the P's. And I feel like getting this Endo guy for 19 million means that we still got P's left to get a centre back and a CDM. Liverpool, go get it done. And I'm going to close on that point. It's been a great pod. If there's anything you want to say, Marjib, say it now before we leave.
No, it's been a great weekend of football. I would say this: I was very interested with Tottenham and their game as well. I think a lot of people are gonna be underestimated by what Tottenham do, but with James Maddison and the players they have and their manager, I think they're gonna be a good team. Yeah, as always, Bun Arsenal. Always got to add that in there. That's always got to be a thing. But to be honest, I'm just excited. I'm excited to be honest. After last season, every game going in thinking we're gonna lose, hoping just to get 40 points. We got 40 points in the end. Like I think this season is a lot brighter season for my team. And yeah, man, I'm just excited. I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see what happens in the future. Obviously, everyone out there, go watch the Women's World Cup final. England are in the final. Go celebrate the Lionesses win. Hopefully, they win that this Sunday. And yeah, man, just that's all I gotta say, man. A beautiful day, and I gotta say the the player of the weekend for me as well. I got a shout out James Maddison, man. He's quality. And bomb of the week is Klopp. Yeah, man said, "Oh, we got the deal done on an interview," and man said, "Yeah, the club said the deal done. We stretched the peas." Yeah, guess what? Didn't happen. LFC, Lavia, Fernandez, Casado. Yeah,
You've been a good pod. And yeah, it's been an interesting first week. Yes, the Lionesses is in the World Cup final again, and they could win it again. Shame on the men, you know. This could potentially be their second win, and the men are still struggling to win one. Should be ashamed of yourself. Ashamed of yourself. And you know who that is? It's Gareth Southgate. Bomb. Anyways, I don't want to go into that, but we probably will talk about that at some point soon. But yeah, it's been a great pod. Looking forward to game 2. Fantasy Football League points was a bit of a bummy one. Margie took the lead with 80 points, but I'm gonna come for his bum ass. And yeah, you know, it is what it is. It's going to be interesting 2 weeks ahead for transfers. We will talk about that again next week to see if there is any developments. But yeah, this is Luke signing out. Peace. Hope everyone enjoyed. Later.
yeah. Peace. And we out. Foosball. Yeah, yeah.